I'm gonna hold that over them too. Every day. You know, I don't have a new chair.
Take his.
No votes were taken in executive session. Moving on to new business. We have the annual Murmur Loss Control Program evaluation. Administrator Stolberg.
For those of you who didn't know, we had Murmur, our insurance and risk management. They did an assessment of our city and they gave us a 98%. We normally get 100%, but that's because we had some problems that need to be addressed. One of the things that was a problem was we didn't have a full inspection program of our playgrounds. Well, we also have had some flux in our parks department, so that's kind of explains that. We had some problems in our building department. As you know, we've had some flux in our building department. Hopefully we're resolving those problems, and we will address anything that Murmur has indicated on here, and we will make sure that they're taken care of. We want to be at 100%. So that's where we're going to.
Next on the agenda is the Franklin County MML meeting and dinner hosted by the City of Sullivan on April 20th at 6 o'clock.
And I didn't realize that the city clerk was going to hand out the little memo here because I didn't know it existed. As a matter of fact, it didn't exist until today. So I included the old October 20th minutes just so that you could see on the back where it said the location of the next Franklin County Municipal League meeting will be in Sullivan, Missouri, April 20th. So they will be putting it out. I looked at the email threads from previous, and they usually go out 2 to 3 weeks in advance. So it just hasn't come out yet with the official. Actually, it does. Oh, yep, it's got it right here on your notice. So that's where it is, and that's when it'll be.
Next is planning and zoning recommendation for rezoning of certain property located at 1330 Casey Avenue from R1B single family residential to R2 two family for applicant Billy Brown.
And there was a hearing held last Monday night. Billy Brown presented his case. The Planning and Zoning Commission looked at it, and you can see what their findings and facts recommendation is. He wanted to rezone that property. It's an 18,000 square foot property on Casey Avenue from R1B to R2, two family, basically to put a duplex. The commission did not feel that a duplex fit the zoning long-range plan and the area that it met, that it was in, and decided to recommend against approving the rezoning request. So that is their recommendation is that the property not be rezoned and that the request be denied. That being said, is there anyone here that would like to say anything about it?
He's not even here.
We've already had the hearing, so your time is up.
I make a motion to deny the zone change from R-1B to R2 for Billy Brown.
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Crosser.
Aye.
Alderman Townsend. Alderman Price.
Aye.
Alderman Lee.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is the hiring of Craig Sullivan to fill the building inspector / code enforcement position.
Okay. The city held an interview with Craig Sullivan, our former fire chief and fire inspector for the St. Clair Fire District, as for our building inspector position. He is extremely well qualified. He does not hold the appropriate certifications at this time, but he does have other ICC certifications. As a fire inspector, he has held that certification for a number of years. He's been doing inspections, so we're confident that he is an exceptional candidate and the most exceptional candidate that we had apply for the job. So I guess the board that met and interviewed him recommended his hiring.
And we will keep a part-time certified person on hand until he meets those requirements.
The person who's doing the inspections right now is from Sullivan, and he's got multiple certifications, actually. He will stay on and train Craig to do the job, and so we're very confident that he'll be able to get his certifications in a limited amount of time.
Does anyone have any questions about that?
Why don't you just keep the guy you have now, if he's got all the certifications?
Because he's part-time temporary and he won't stay. He's only doing it in the interim because we don't have one. And so he's only doing it as basically a favor to the city. But I appreciate you asking.
I make a motion to hire Craig Sullivan as our building inspector.
I think you need to move the rate of pay and,
With a salary of $52,500 starting and a $1,000 raise per certification within the first year.
At the anniversary of his first year.
Oh, at the anniversary of his first year.
Second.
May I have roll call, please?
Aye.
Alderman Counts is absent. Alderman Crosser.
Aye.
Alderman Sines.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the bathroom stall replacements for Orchard Park.
I just included the three pricings right here. They're in no particular order, but it's going to cost a little over $2,000 to get our restrooms fixed in Orchard Park. And this is with stainless steel partitions and new toilets and new screens.
Does this price include the toilets also?
I'm sorry,
No,
that doesn't
this is
include-
just the
This is
partitions,
just for
correct?
the partitions.
Okay.
This is just for the partitions. I believe we've got either toilets on order or there's some, yeah, I'm not exactly sure about the toilets.
And I know when we were dealing with the lower bathrooms at Orchard last year, our park employee ended up going with a different type of composite. Have we looked into that? Do we feel like it's not as good quality? It's some type of heavy plastic material
For the
for the
partitions?
partitions. They are not metal because the metal were, at the time, the reasoning was they were more expensive. Obviously, I don't know what the life expectancy is of either one, but I noticed all of these are the stainless steel. Have we looked at another option to see how that price compares?
I believe that we specifically look for the steel just because of its resiliency and long lasting. we've got too many other porcelain and plastic things that get broken and just torn up that we didn't even want to entertain other materials. We wanted actually it's not brushed steel, but it's powder coated steel.
Powder-coated,
Yeah,
okay.
powder coated steel. So, and that's the direction that I gave Randy is that I wanted something that was going to last, that was going to be able to take what people give to it.
And I'm not sure what that other material is rated or how.
I wasn't aware of any other materials that
Yeah.
that have been used, but I'm not sure that they have the resiliency of steel anyway.
And possibly sanitary
Yeah,
value as well.
yeah.
Okay.
We just have to keep an eye on them more, because you can scrap that stainless steel out here, poor boys, you know,
Yep,
when they steal them.
right.
Yeah.
So you need a motion for an
I make a
amount.
motion to approve the expenditure for the partitions in the Upper Orchard Park bathroom stalls.
Second.
May I have roll call, please?
Alderman Crawford.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson, absent. Alderman Dean.
Aye.
Chairman Sykes.
Aye.
Motion carries. Attorney Voss, do you have anything?
Nothing, Mayor.
Administrator Stolberg.
I've only got a few things.
2 pages.
I seem to keep adding on to it. I don't know why. All right, the first thing, we're hiring or I've been given direction to hire, that we need to hire a part-time assistant for when Courtney goes on maternity leave. We'll need someone to help during Courtney's absence, and we're also in the process of filling a building inspector position as well as looking for a building assistant. So adding additional duties to that already taxed staff is not going to work very well. So I guess I just want to get the board's direction on how you want me to proceed and when you want me to proceed, because Courtney is due in about 7 weeks. And we all know that babies don't always come when you want them to. And so we have to be prepared, and we have to have time to get this part-time temporary person spun up. And we don't want to tax our already taxed staff. So we want to get them moving. So I want to look at what we want to do there.
I have a question. So, if Mr. Sullivan, you said he would be coming in around the 4th?
Yes, that's what, he wanted to start the 4th, yeah.
So if we looked at posting something and having someone else come in around that time, even if Courtney's still here and we're training, could they also, like, help as a building assistant until Courtney goes out?
Well, here's, and I thought that might be a good idea, and I discussed that with our current building inspector, the interim building inspector, Dan King. He feels that the building inspector or the building assistant needs to be focused on assisting the building inspector and not doing other duties, because they're going to have to basically redo that entire building department. And it's not going to be an easy task. And so it's probably going to be best that we split those up. That the building assistant focuses on the building department, and that the administrative assistant focuses on what Courtney does.
Is Courtney planning on 12 weeks maternity leave?
She is planning on the full 12 weeks.
What happens with this assistant once Courtney comes back?
It'd just be part-time temporary.
It's a part-time temporary position, so once I shouldn't say she, because it can be a he or she, but once there's no need for that person, then we will let them go.
Okay.
So are you wanting to advertise that right away?
I would like to advertise that right away, yes.
Make a motion that we advertise for a part-time temporary assistant for Courtney during her maternity leave.
Second.
Did you say part-time temporary? May I have roll call, please?
Alderman Beaver.
Aye.
Alderman Towns is absent. Alderman Crossan.
Aye.
Alderman Siders.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, and then moving on, at a previous meeting, the board authorized me to move forward with a building assistant. And having looked at the budget for the building department with a salary budget of $39,000, and we're hiring a new building inspector that we're going to have to find money to pay for. Bless you. If we're going to have to find some more money to put into the building department for the salaries. And there is a definitive need for a building assistant, and it's a very good time to hire a building assistant, because we're going to be training the building inspector and showing that person how to do it and how to do it properly. If we get the building assistant in there at the same time, then they can be trained at the same time, they can learn together, and they can mesh while they learn. So it's a very, and as I've noted here, and you have before you, I mean, there's a lot of things that the building assistant is going to be helping doing. And one of the things that I have tasked the building department with is that this year we want to adopt the 2018 building code. Right now, we're using the 2009 building code, which is way out of, I mean, it's not what we should be using. Okay, so we need to adopt the newer building code, and that takes time. And from what I understand, previous building inspector had gotten most of it done, but there's still a lot that needs to be done, and we still need to get that done. The building assistant is going to help in that, and is going to be a very large part of that, because it's mainly administrative. So I kind of want to go to you with that guidance on what to do with the building assistant. I was going to, from the last meeting, look at a full-time position. Do we want to hire a part-time building assistant that can work and train, which could lead to a full-time position maybe next year? And that's something that I was thinking about. That way we can save a little bit of money on salary and benefits at this point, and we can budget for it for next year.
We may just fall behind if we hire somebody part-time. And I said, they've got a lot to learn.
They do have a lot to learn.
A lot of our codes and.
Absolutely.
If they're doing nothing over there but answering their phone 2 times a day and reading our codes so that they have an answer when somebody does call, that's worth something.
Do you feel like it would be beneficial to push that, or at least the interviews for that, back until the building inspector would be started, so that he could sit in on that process? Because obviously they're going to work very closely together. And so if he maybe had some ownership in that decision, then, maybe that would help. I don't feel like it, 2-3 weeks of him being here without an assistant is probably going to impact the training largely. And coming in with 2 brand-new hires, what if they just don't mesh? And I would rather make sure that we don't end up with no building inspector, and if he had a little bit of buy-in with that interview process, then maybe he would help us pick someone that he would work well with.
We have hired him. Maybe we could ask him to sit in on those meetings prior to his taking the building department over.
Yeah, because we're gonna have to run the ad. I mean, he's not coming in till the 4th. We're gonna have to run the ad first, so that would give him plenty of time to be here.
I think he, just from talking to him, I think he would be willing to sit in on it, just so he gets the right person.
And from a training standpoint, I know Administrator Stolberg and I talked about this, from a training standpoint, on Dana and Dan King.
Dan.
I always want to call him Don too. Dan, they can train 2 for the price of 1 kind of thing, at the same
Right.
time, the assistant and the inspector at the same time, at this, at the same pace. But yeah, I think that sooner is better than later, for sure.
I do think there's some value to having Craig Sullivan in the process. This is going to be basically his closest employee,
Right.
the one that he works more closely with. So I think it's very important that he has buy-in. But I also think it's very important that we move on this, that we get it done. So maybe we could do what Alderman Veland had suggested, bring Craig in to the process even before he starts or as he's starting, and move forward with it.
Also, Alderman Veland also said that full-time would be better. Which way would you be leaning towards?
Are we talking about 3 days or 4 days versus 5, or?
That's what I was initially thinking was 4 days a week versus 5, and maybe we could start part-time, but not wait until next year to offer full-time if it works out. Maybe do it later this year.
I'm not sure, and this may be completely off base, because obviously I'm not here all day, every day. But it seems to me if we've made it the first, the last 6 months with Dan King part-time and Dana juggling 3 jobs, or 2 jobs, or 15, however many she's doing right now, then, I feel like a part-time with the budget issue already a factor, I just don't see why we couldn't do it with a full-time building inspector and a part-time assistant for the remainder of the year. It just seems like, she'd be able to be fully trained, she'd be able to take, maybe even take over some of the occupancy or the rental inspections, things that you don't have to be certified for, and the paperwork aspect of it. But to take it on and to put 2 full-time people in there, with the budget issue, I feel like maybe a little overzealous.
And we could schedule it 5 days a week, 6 hours a day. That would be, 30 hours and part-time.
I feel like that might be beneficial, because if builders come in, they're probably gonna come in more, in the morning, and that way somebody's in the office every day.
My only concern would be is if somebody's looking for part-time work, they might not want to go full-time next year if we need somebody full-time.
Right.
So if we're going to advertise it as,
We could advertise this as a part-time position that could lead to full-time.
or will lead to, just so we don't get my fear would be, let's say we get somebody partially retired now that just doesn't want to step into a full-time deal. That would be my only concern with that, if we don't advertise it the way we're wanting it to be with like full-time next year. And the way I'm seeing that is with our big 55 and over coming, we're gonna have a lot going on. So
We are,
that would be my only concern, is if we don't let them know that this is going to go to full-time, will we draw someone that only wants part-time?
Okay.
Just a thought.
So my next question too, once we get this department to the place we'd like it to be,
Yes.
up on the zoning codes and all that, and they're running smoothly at that point, do you think that our assistant will need to be full-time at that point?
I do believe that it'll still be a full-time position, simply because of, the rental occupancy inspections, the smaller things that they'll be doing, and taking the load and the burden off of the building inspector. And that will, there's nothing to say that once they're fully, full-time, and if they have time to work on some admin stuff that they can't assist in other departments, I don't have a problem with that. We have a number of employees who do just that. I think there's enough work
To go around?
to go around.
I think I would be comfortable moving forward with an advertisement for a part-time building assistant that will lead to a full-time position. Maybe wording it in the near future, or I don't know that we want to commit to a year from now.
Yeah, at least in the advertisement, I wouldn't like to commit to a time frame, but definitely a part-time position leading to full-time.
I'll second that.
Do you want me to repeat it?
Yeah, I didn't word that correctly. I will make a motion to hire a building assistant part-time, leading to a full-time position in the near future.
Now I'll second that.
May I have roll call, please?
Alderman Beeman.
Aye.
Alderman Counts is absent. Alderman Rossiter.
Aye.
Alderman Sykes.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next thing that I've got is Cochran Engineering performed an inspection on the roof last week. The preliminary findings were that there are some areas of the roof that are still in good condition. Some of it needs a little bit of patching, I guess you would say. The roof over the gym is in complete need of replacement. It's gone. So we will have to look at replacing that. Cochran was not able to get a report to me at this time, but they said that they'll have it for the next meeting, so I'll give a more detailed presentation next meeting.
I'm sorry, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
Oh, did you have something else?
Oh, I was just going to ask, in regards to the roof, I was thinking when I read that, could we have some sort of, I know right now it's broken into sections, we may have to do full replacement on the gym, but
Right.
patchwork elsewhere. Can we work it into our budget, a long-term plan for, because everything
For
else is going to
replacement
come.
and maintenance?
Yes,
Yes. I think that's a very good idea. And actually, what I would like to do is to work it into a capital improvement plan. Things that we want to do on maintenance and replacement over a period of X number of years. I would like to do a 5-year plan, just to give us an idea of what we're going to be spending money 5 years down the road. So
And saving for that point.
Yes, and saving for, yes, exactly.
Mr. Stolberg, in the meeting we had, did you have a chance yet to look in to see if the solar panels were in full compliance?
I have not had a chance, no.
Because
I talked to Cochran, and they're gonna have somebody get in touch with me. They haven't yet.
you know, if they're not working, if they're not under warranty, you know, maybe that's something that we need to do is just rip those things off the roof, and
Right.
they're not helping the roof.
Because, yeah, if we have to spend $8,000 to take them off and put them back on, to do the roof repairs, and they're not functioning properly, if they're not making us money, then
saving us money.
if they're not saving us money, it's not worth putting it back on. Absolutely. Any more roof issues to discuss? Okay.
For my,
The St. Clair Monument, also known as the Tombstone, where we've been discussing it, we've been trying to figure out what to do with it. We had a location kind of picked out over at Evergreen Park. But I want, before we go do this, before we go putting the foundation down there, and I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Is this where we want it? And there has been some discussion as to maybe putting it in a more visible place. Where that visible place is, I'm not exactly sure. But Evergreen Park is kind of a little bit out of the way. We have some vandals that like to do things when they're not seen. And so if we put this there, will it be subject to vandalism? Possibly so. Will it not if we put it in a more visible area? You just can't tell. So I just want the board's direction on what they feel is an appropriate place for this monument, because it is a pretty big and great thing if we can get it out to where people can see it.
One of the areas I thought might be worth consideration would be at Orchard Park on the baseball side. We have a lot of out-of-town teams that use that field, and it might be a great place that would still be, I mean, it's already maintained, it's not another spot for crews to have to weed eat or mow. It's already maintained, but it does have a little bit more visibility than, Evergreen does, which I feel like Evergreen's kind of off the beaten path and might be, I'd hate to see it defaced or, sprayed with graffiti, something like that. Or my other thought had been out here, out front by where the flagpole is and down in this little flat grassy area. I mean, it's not super visible, but it is a welcome to St. Clair, and this is the government center of St. Clair, so.
We had looked at that orchard location also,
Yeah.
where the shrubbery was.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Just because it does get, I mean, out of all of our facilities, it does get used most by out of town, that field does.
I would recommend that you keep it out of the parks completely. We're obviously having problems in the parks as it is.
With vandalism.
And it needs to go someplace visible. I mean, the reason why it hasn't been damaged and anything downtown is it's a well-traveled area. Or we need to keep it in a well-traveled area. Because I cannot guarantee that it's not going to get damaged or anything. Anywhere you put it, obviously. I would rather see the thing just go someplace else, so it doesn't get damaged. But, the thing is, I would recommend not putting it in the park. That's just an extra thing that we have to try to keep an eye on, is the stages, and bathrooms, and all that stuff we gotta do on an already taxed police department.
Evergreen, where they're talking about it, is up at the top by Veterans Field, up top there. There's like two stumps, there's a flagpole, and there's like two stumps, so it's right up, closer to the road versus down in there.
Oh, I really like the idea of the city hall location, personally. It just, the way the sign reads and what it looks like it needs to be somewhere that's saying, you know, welcome to our town, and what better place than our city hall. So I like that idea. But I agree with Chief. I'm not sure that our parks are the best location.
We have to worry about accessibility, the ease of moving it to that place as well. And so at City Hall, that's down in that bottom.
Could it stay where it is and just turn it? No.
Not too bad, the police.
Anybody, please approach the podium, state your name and address, please.
Hi, guys. It's Ryan LaRocca at 125 Kitchell Street. My personal belief is we have the police department located right here. I think anybody in their right mind that would want to damage that with it being placed out here somewhere in this vicinity of the city hall would be a fool to do that. I mean, you have cars driving by all day long. Somebody can call 911. The police are in and out of here all day long. And like she said, this is the government center. I believe that this would be an ideal place to place that. It's just my thought. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Charlene Sailing, 902 Q Avenue, and this probably isn't the ideal place either, but I thought of where the ability is, where farmers and merchants used to be, and that nice landscaped area. It's still in town, but it's out of the way. I don't know that it does welcome everybody to St. Clair, but it certainly gives another identity to the downtown area. You have Nancy's area up there that has something comparable. In the next block, you would have something that would face, and it would be out of the way. It would be a place that the police are patrolling. I don't know if that's a city easement, but I would bet that Ability would not have a problem if you placed that there.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this isn't something that we have to decide tonight. It's just something I wanted to get the conversation started so we can make a determination as to where we need to put it. And so if we don't want to discuss that any further, let's discuss another monument. The Veterans Monument. Right now, it's in the MoDOT right-of-way. MoDOT says we have to move it. And I wasn't actually a part of the previous discussions. However, it's the place that I've been told we want to move it is on the patio right over there on City Hall. It's kind of out of the way, and it's kind of not visible,